All right, Alejandro Montoya Marín. Did I get that right?
Yes, sir.
Awesome, awesome. Welcome to the show, man. So, filmmaker, director, and just recently tested positive for COVID.
Yeah.
Yep, like myself, I tested positive in January, so it was a bitch. Yeah, I mean, with that added, tell me a little bit more about who you are, what you do, what you've been up to.
Besides, yeah, COVID is not a big part of who I am, but it's just an extension of who I am this year. My name is Alejandro Montoya. I'm a writer, director, first gen Mexican American. I've had a couple of short. I don't know what else to say. I got a couple of short films and feature films, and just trying to get some projects out there for people to enjoy.
So, yeah. COVID positive, directing a film from an iPad remotely.
Fuck, that was horrible, man.
What's that like?
Horrible. I was only prepared because my DP and I like literally knew the shot list front and back. We talked about the schematics. We talked about what camera was going to be where this was going to lead. Like, if we were less prepared, I would have fallen on my face completely. But thanks to the crew, the preparation, and just, like, bite the bullet and go with it. Like, we were able to finish, and I'm very excited about this project because I feel it's like it might be our strongest project.
Awesome. All from an iPad, all remote.
All from an iPad. I actually, can I upload a picture to you?
You can do a screen share, and I can
check this out.
Yeah.
I'm going to send you a picture right now because I was taking pictures of how I was doing this. And I have like a screen where I can see what the camera is capturing. And then I have somebody on a phone that was having me live the whole time, so I can hear what's going on set and trying to gauge, there it is, and trying to gauge like the atmosphere, so then I can proceed with that kind of like learning of like, okay, so people are tired, let's go to inserts instead, or just to gauge how the set works. So definitely you have to have more cameras and more to complete the senses, you know what I mean? If you're going to be there, you need to hear, listen, feel the set. And if you're not there, I think the more angles you have, the better.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Where are you based in?
I'm in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
New Mexico. Let me ask you a question. Do you know Andre Lapionik?
I don't.
No? Okay. Because he's an actor. He's out there, and he's an actor. And he's also a writer-director. He just finished a short film that he posted to, what was it, Santa Fe?
Oh, the Santa Fe Film Festival.
Yeah, let me double check
Nice.
this. Yeah, the Santa Fe Film Festival.
Okay.
Yep. So, yeah, I mean, me and him were working for a while together, a lot of projects. And he's out there. Did you email it to me, this picture? Do me a favor. You can do a screen share. If you go to screen share, you can just share the pic.
Yeah, no, I put it in their chat room. If you go to the chat room, it's right there.
Chat. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, that. Well, in that case, I can do that. Yeah. Let's take a look at this thing. All right. That. Oh, I see you got a Mac. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Like, who doesn't? Like, if you're in film, you have to have a Mac, right?
you have to.
Um,
I sent you another one.
all right. Let's see if I can somehow unfuck this situation. You know, my setup, this might take me a while. Oh, do me a favor. So open up the pictures on your computer and then,
yeah.
Oh, so yeah, like open them up in whatever program, probably Preview if you double tap on those files, and then go to Screen Share and share only that app. Sorry to make you do more work.
Let's see. Hang on, because I don't know if I got that.
Oh, you know what? I'm an idiot. I can do it. I think I can do it.
Okay. Like that?
Oh, no, I got you now. Yep. All right, that looks great. Yeah, man. Wow.
So basically, this is the camera that was there the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see what's behind the frame, and then this was in front of the frame. And then this is, well, that was me. So I
So they threw up. So did they share, thinking of Zoom, did they share the playback as like a camera dialed into Zoom?
Yes.
And then there was somebody else dialed into Zoom's on
not just Zoom, but as a FaceTime.
Okay, so okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So one thing was on Zoom and another thing was on FaceTime.
Yes, and I had it both on my screen, so that's why I took the picture, so you could see that I'm seeing this. This is how I communicate with them, and then this is also another way I can communicate with like the crew. I was like, hey, we needed to go wider or etc.
Yeah.
And then I was on the phone like the whole time.
And you had a mask on the whole time.
And I had a mask. And
you gotta be safe, man. You gotta be safe.
Man.
You never know.
Exactly.
Even in isolation. No, that's awesome, man. It looks great. So how would you say you've been impacted the past year?
I mean, because of COVID, oh man, so many things. Just it changed. We were gonna go into production for 2 feature films, and that put a stop to it. We were going to screen our feature film Millennium Bugs, which we crowdfunded and worked for a year for it, and then we were going to screen at South by Southwest, and that went kaput. So we went and did the whole virtual film festival experience with Dances with Films and Soho International Film Festival and others. But it wasn't my cup of tea, just because, I don't know. I wasn't 100% on the experience. I feel like a lot of it has to do with you seeing the movie in the theater and not having your phone blow up or your kids scream at you, or, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So, I mean, we have to do what we have to do to continue to deliver projects and keep creating. But I mean, I've been not under the impression, but I've been very adamant about if I wasn't going to go nuts during this year, because I didn't know it was going to be a year. I thought it was 3 months, and then look at where we are. We're a year and a month in.
In March of 2020, they were saying 2 weeks, and then it turned into like 3 months, and then it turned into a fucking over a year.
It's a year, so
it's going to be another year.
Sorry,
it's going to be another year.
Oh yeah, and I think the best advice I gave myself, and it's not even advice to myself, is just stay busy. Just stay busy, or else you're gonna go nuts. You're in a 2-bedroom apartment. You can't really go out and see people. Even though I traveled by driving, I haven't flown. Just because I have a lot of family members that are older, like my grandpa's still alive. I have a bunch of his brothers still alive and uncles, and we shouldn't be as egocentric as we've seen a lot of people be, but
right.
That's them. I care about my grandfather, my parents, and elderly people, so I've tried to stay indoors, and when I go out, it's very remotely and driving and just a couple of people in our bubble, all the
Yeah. I mean, for me, there was a number of projects I had in the can, so I just spent like the first couple months editing. But I think it was probably, end of March, I decided just to do this. I knew everything was going to drop. Everything was dropping. And, you know, everything was canceling. So me and some colleagues tried this whole podcast thing twice before, pre-COVID. Tried to do like this whole virtual, you know, bringing in FaceTime and Google Hangouts and Skype. Like this, it was a terribly technically improficient type of setup we had. And now, since of course with quarantine, then it was like, what's $100 for, you know, a premium Zoom account or whatever. And we just started knocking it out. And it's, you know, it was this, and there was a couple other passion projects I was just finally putting gift wraps on. And yeah, and it was just writing and prepping. And then finally, you know, I finally got out on set a couple of times.
Yeah.
And then I got COVID in January. Yeah. And so then of course there was that whole isolation, and then but by that time I already got my second shot.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I still haven't gotten my first one.
I got my second shot. Plus, having had it, it's like, well, you know, and my whole family had it. My wife and baby boy had it. The baby boy kicked it before the rest of us. We suffered through it. What was the? So you're how far along are you? You said you had like 2-3 days left or something.
Oh, I got 2 days left of my isolation. I literally just spoke like 10 minutes ago with the New Mexico Department of Health, because they call in and check. And I told them the worst part was, I mean, I started getting it pretty heavy when I was on directing, because I got headaches and my back was killing, and I didn't get a fever, you know, I didn't get a fever. I gratefully, thankfully didn't get symptoms like a lot of the poor souls, like the 500,000 that passed away. So I consider myself lucky, but yeah, it's not fun. It's definitely not fun. I took care of myself the whole year, and you know, because we have to go to work. Like it's, you know, if not, I can't. You know, we can't pay for rent. We can't pay for food. So that was one of the reasons. That's the reason why we got it. We just, you know, we went out working, and yeah, my fiance and myself have been locked up in the house. Like I haven't left the house since last Monday, not this Monday, but the last one. I've been here, and by next Tuesday, the doctor that called me said that I should be okay to resume to go out and do things. Yeah,
I mean, for me, the aches and the chills are the most excruciating.
The pain. It's like someone beats you up. I explained it. I just sent an email saying that it feels like if you're Joe Pesci at the end of Casino.
Yeah, like just
it really does.
The simple act of like rolling around in bed. You know how like you just kind of shift in bed. It was excruciating. Yeah. But the biggest mind fuck was the loss of taste and smell.
Oh, I didn't get that.
You didn't get that. So I got that, man, and it was like I was like, you know, I drink like high octane, you know, snooty, expensive, you know, premier type beers. And the wife was like, you shouldn't be drinking on COVID. And I'm like, oh, it's okay. And I take a sip and I'm like, I can't. And that's when it dawned on me, I can't taste or smell anything. Well, fuck it. You win, honey. I'm not fucking drinking because I can't taste it. I can't enjoy it. So I drink like water. I drank Emergency. She said that, you know, she hated the Emergency, but I just drank it because I couldn't taste it. So it's not like it bothered me. I just kept drinking that and eating Cliff Bars and just. I didn't want to fucking eat anything. I didn't want to drink anything. Of Cliff Bars. Well, shit. If you lost your sense of taste and smell, you wouldn't fucking care because it was just.
You just taste whatever.
Yeah, you didn't taste anything. It tastes like cardboard or whatever. But yeah, man. I mean, that's awesome. I think with. Do you have kids? Do you guys have kids?
No, we don't.
No? Okay. So I think what I think is awesome is like adding, you know, I can see a lot of these films, you know, especially yours, where, you know, half of it, if not all of it, was remotely directed. And then maybe during the credits, you know, a lot of films put like these little outtakes, little BTS in the credits. And that's really going to make a lot of films stand out. And it's like, wow, this film was good. This film was great. This film was okay, but they still pulled it off. And throwing in, you know, all these BTSs of like half the people were remote. The director even had to be remote for this film, for that film, for the other film. Yeah. And you know, like a lot of previous guests on this podcast, we were talking about Zoom audio this and webcam that. And I'm like, that's a staple of the time. This is, these things we're going to look back and be like, we had great conversations. It was, the content was there, but the shitty webcams, these panels, these picture-in-picture type of, the way my show is, graphically set up, it's a staple of the time. And in a year or two, I might have people in a studio sitting down across from each other, like most podcasts did have, prior to quarantine. But it's like, this is a staple of the time. And throwing in those little extra tidbits at the end of your film and maybe other filmmakers doing that, it just shows like they still pulled it off. It's a staple of the time. It's like, it's phenomenal. I think it's just showing perseverance. The couple of sets that I were on, they found a way to cut the straps off the masks and put this medical glue and pinch. It was those masks that had that little metal band.
What,
and then
thing.
So when they're shooting behind these people, they're shooting my front and they're shooting behind those people. Those people have like a little bit of medical glue on the metal band. Then they pinch it on their nose, but you can't see nothing from the back. And so they still have like this small little mask on, and I'm doing my lines. And when they switch cameras, I put mine on. And some people that are, and so they weren't doing a super wide with everybody in the shot. They might do like kind of like this third of the room. They'll take their masks off. Somebody might do some lines, and then they do the other side. And it's really working around this thing and really still making everything work and everything come together. Yeah.
Good idea.
Yeah. It was, I mean, and then there's another thing I was working on where it was just me. It was a teleprompter thing. The crew was kind of far away. They had on masks, and I would take my mask off, do the teleprompter for about 30-minute gig, and then that's it. Put my mask back on, wrap. I mean, the pay rates are great nowadays. If people are willing to like go out, go to their studio, go to the field, man. The pay rates are great right now. So it's awesome, especially if someone got that shot, if someone got the second shot, if someone's had it, then they probably have the antibodies, so they're going to be immune to it again. And if they're willing to like go out, take that risk. Yeah, I mean, I am now. The wife's like, okay, I mean, wash your hands. Obviously, you're going to shower, wash your hands, wash your clothes, because there's always still some of that uncertainty.
Oh yeah,
but still at the same time, it's like go out there now and take advantage of it. So
of course, no, yeah, I think it's like the first thing I'm going to do is drive to go see my parents because I haven't seen them over a year. So that's the first thing I want to do is just go see my mom and dad. It's been a while.
Yeah, I mean, we were pretty safe. I've had my parents over a number of times. Her parents have come over quite a bit as of late to help out. Now that they started getting their shots, and so the grandparents aren't so concerned anymore. And then since we already had it, it's not like we can pass it to them from ourselves. Now, if we go out, you can still get it on you. Mm-hmm. But since someone might be immune to it now or not as affected by it, if you could have it on you, and then you could pass it to somebody that way. But yeah, I mean, it's just been, it's a mind fuck. I mean,
it's been a travesty, man. It really is. It's a lot of people, have passed away, and it's been an event that's changed the world completely. Like the way we behave, interact, shoot movies, shop, fucking. Yeah. I mean, imagine like being single and trying to fucking find love, like, like it's changed everything.
Yeah,
completely.
Yeah, I got a couple of friends. The wife has a couple of friends, and I met the wife on Tinder, and just about most of my friends, if they weren't married or dating, they look for love on Tinder or the other dating apps. Her friends do, my friends do, and some of the ones that are still single, they say like it's really lonely, it sucks, and they're doing like these Skype meetups, and then they got to do. I guess they're doing COVID tests to and then show the COVID test. I don't know how that's working.
I mean, that's fair. Like, hey, how do I know you have COVID? But dude, I don't know, man. Like, I don't think either I'm old. I'm 39. I'm too old, I think, to like get back on the dating. Like, how the fuck? Like, I don't stand a chance to Tinder. You know, I don't stand a chance. Like, you got all these like fucking buffed ass dudes, and I'm just like, you need to hang out with me for a couple of hours to see that I can chat and I'm charming. Other than that,
You'd be surprised, man. You'd be surprised. It's all about, like, you can be charming in that headline on the dating app. You could be charming, and somehow I pulled it off.
Here's an example. If you have to, how many characters do you have to be charming in that headline?
Bro, I forgot, man. I met the wife on Tinder 5 years ago, maybe. Never looked back.
Like, what could I say?
But
fun.
Hey, listen, and you know, like, we're about the same age. We're about the same age, but I think we're about the same age, but I think I was like 35 or 36. I don't know. I was 34 when I first started using the app, and then I was 36, and I met her on Tinder.
Yeah.
And then I just deleted the app. Like, never looked back. It's just been me and her for past 5 years now. Yeah.
5 years. So, yeah, that's nice. Congratulations.
Thank you, man.
Hey, Tinder, email this guy. There's a fucking positive story there.
Promotional content. Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. Absolutely. So okay, moving past COVID, you know, you got a couple of days, you got a couple more days in isolation or what have you, but what's next on the agenda? What's the next set of goals? What's next on the agenda, say 6 months to a year from now for Alejandro Montoya Marín?
6 months to a year, dude, there's several, man. Well, first off is we're currently working on 2 short films that we one of them is being sound designed, and the one that I did remotely is starting, like, they just picked up the hard drive and they're going to start importing, and we're going to start editing it because we want to have both short films done by summer, so then we can start submitting to film festivals and hopefully turning one or both into a feature film. They're more than anything, they're like proof of concept, so you can see a different kind of scale of budget and theme. Like, one's a dark comedy, one's a thriller. Excuse me. So we're just trying to show not only diversity, like one of them is very female oriented, where the other one, the leads are men. We're trying to show variety, and we're trying to show that that our production company and I as a director can hopefully tackle multiple genres to, you know, get more work and like in an attempt of continuing to be busy. I released my first graphic novel, which I have right here, which is it's a straight sequel to the Rebel Without a Crew movie that I did.
Okay.
So just creating them, man. Like, I'm trying to, like, I just premiered this like 2 days ago. Awesome. And just trying to keep the people entertained.
The sequel to Money?
The sequel to Monday.
The sequel to Monday.
Yes, my first feature film is called Monday, and then this takes place the day right after. So it's in like a stoner action comedy with the same characters, and if you haven't seen the movie, we include a QR code for you to watch it for free. The soundtrack, so you can read and listen to music as you're doing it, and then more artwork by created by Imri, which is the guy who stylized the comic book.
Hell yeah!
Stay home, stay safe, and stay entertained.
Yeah, yeah. So did you produce that? Was that one of the quarantine, one of the projects in the last? Yeah.
Yes, sir. I said, oh man, it took a year. It took a year of production because usually comic books, I mean, the bigger budgets, they have a whole team, and it was just him and I. Like, and he lives in, I think it's Sweden. He's gonna hate me. I don't remember. Sorry, dude. But he's in Europe, so we would have to call each other when, oh hey, it's 2 p.m. here, it's 9 p.m. over there, and then go through it and see, okay, well, this cell is gonna be like this, maybe it'll take more, and then, okay, you put the sound right there, so it gives you indications when you're reading what song to play on your Spotify list.
Well, that's cool.
It's a thank you, man. It's an adventure, and I feel that if we weren't able to go and shoot a movie and you want to tell a story, there's other formats.
And that's an idea that I've never thought of, to where you have a cue to play a track on Spotify.
I usually do that with my scripts. Like, every script that I write, I know it's not right, and I know it's not professional, and all those fucking Hollywood bigwigs can frown upon it. But I usually put music in the scripts because I want to help the reader get into the vibe that I will be like kind of creating when we're when we're doing the movie, because I usually start the movie with a specific set of songs.
Mm-hmm.
And as the script develops, I start taking songs that just don't work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So music is a big part of it.
No. And absolutely. When I was in college, I was really like experimenting, you know, like when I was in high school, I didn't know jack shit about filmmaking. And, you know, I thought, you know, a bunch of stuff was one way, and finally get into college and you start getting the structure, you start getting the formula, you start getting the ABCs of it.
Mm-hmm.
But just like you hit the nail on the head. For me, you know, I would hear a song and I'm like, that's great for this soundtrack. So I would make these I called them Tim CDs, theme, idea, mood. And it was like Tim, T.I.M. Tim CDs.
Yeah.
And so there was one film that actually got finished, and because I made a Tim CD, and then somebody wanted to produce music for it. And I said, okay, here's the Tim CD. Do not copy it. I want you to listen to it a couple of times overnight. It's not a copyright issue. I just don't want you to make a copy of this on your own computer. He goes, why? It's like, just trust me, don't. It's not even a copyright issue. It's just a burnt CD of random songs, but listen to it in the order and read the script in that order. Yeah. And he didn't make a copy of it. I'm like, okay, give it back to me now. Now, so you still have the script, right? Yeah. But I want the CD back, and I want you to make the score. You already heard it. I don't want you to be able to go back to my CD now. You've heard it. You know, music composer, the music composer, the music arranger, whatever. Based on what you've heard and based on the best of your recollection, now compose. Because I don't want you to straight copy, you know, a Billy Idol song or a Miley Cyrus song or a AC/DC song or whatever the case. Now just go and read the script, and you kind of have like this rough idea of what inspired me. But I want you to make something now, as the artist. I don't want you to straight copy this. That's why I didn't want you to copy it. Now I'll have it. And then once he made the score for that film, that Tim CD gets burnt, shredded, thrown in the trash, whatever. Mm-hmm. Because we have now the true score to that film. And that was like this process I came up with. Just because like you, I would hear, you know, a freaking, you know, Rage Against the Machine song, and I would come up with this fight scene in my head. Yeah. Or I would hear this AC/DC song and I would come up with this car chase in my head, this foot chase, this whatever. And all these different scenes from all, you know, a lot of EDM nowadays, but all these different scenes and all these different, you know, moments in my head is what would come up. I would have someone listen to that track once or twice. You kind of get the idea of where I'm coming from with this. Okay, cool. Give me that CD back. That's what I was saying with the music producer. And I would say, now you get my theme, my idea, my mood. Give me that CD.
Go create something in the same vein.
Give me my CD back, but I want you to also be the music producer, the music composer. I want him to also be inspired, but not only that,
have creative input, of course.
But then he kind of has that taste in his mind, but really go off the script and do your thing. But you got a little bit of taste in your mind from what inspired the script, or maybe some of those scenes, so on and so forth. So I couldn't agree more. Like that, like a soundtrack. But the music that's on Spotify for your graphic novel, is it other people's track, or is it original music written for the?
No, it's other people's track.
Yeah, that's cool. No, that's still cool.
It's just basically songs that I because I wrote the script, I wrote the sequel feature film, and then we couldn't get it financed because, well, we did, but the person, first time investor in film didn't know how it works. Yeah. So she got like, oh, well, I don't want to do this anymore. And we're like, okay, I just wrote a whole script. Fuck. So when this happened, I was like, either I could go back and do it super indie, and I said, you know what, let's just create it into a comic book, and changed. Like, it's 50% of the script that I actually wrote. And but I didn't want it to just be like 20 pages. So we did 80 pages. 80 pages, so at least people, get their the bang for their buck. But yeah, we changed a little bit of the plot. We put music to help the energy flow through page 1 and 2, and I'm really happy with it, man. It's not the best comic book out there, but I mean, as a comic book lover since I was like 4, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to have one, at least one. You know.
So since you mentioned it, are you watching WandaVision?
I am not. I know. I'm just, as a comic book lover, I gotta say I'm tired of comic book movies.
Never, man.
Like, okay.
Never. Kevin Feige figured it out. He figured it out, man. I mean,
genius, man.
Some of this, some of the Fox X-Men's, okay, and obviously, some of the Spider-Mans, yes, some of the Spider-Mans, no, but
yeah,
Kevin Feige is batting 25 for 25 right now. Or whatever it is. What is it? 30 for 30 right now. He's batting 30 for 30. And yeah, WandaVision's going to some places, man. Are you all caught up with like all the MCU movies all the way up to Endgame? You're all caught up?
Yeah, I saw all those. Hey man, I saw the movie. I saw the majority of them in theaters. I saw Batman '89 in theaters. I saw the Batman movies in theaters. So the Superman one, not the Christopher Reeves ones, of course, but no, I'm a huge comic book.
Yep.
I mean, I went to DC. I have a bunch right here. Like I like to collect physical copies and stuff. I'm just a little burnt out by comic book movies. They all kind of feel the same. They all kind of, when you're like watching the show and you're, okay, 30 seconds, this episode is done, because you can see how they're ramping up and how they're, I don't know. I just feel like I don't fault anyone who watch it. If you watch it, great. This is awesome. But I don't know, man. I'm still gonna watch certain movies, of course. Like, am I gonna watch the Justice League one? Yeah. Am I dying to watch it? No.
The Snyder Cut?
Yeah, I'll watch it. it. I'm a big Batman fan. I love DC. But I mean, do we need it? No, we don't. I just feel like they're just here, consume.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
And
I'll tell you though, man, the 89, the Michael Keaton, Jack Nicholson Batman, that was life-changing.
Oh, amazing.
That was mind-altering. Yep.
There he is.
Yeah.
No, amazing. I trust me. I love them. I respect them. I still buy comic books. Iron Man, my favorite Marvel movies is Iron Man, Winter Soldier, and Infinity Wars.
Yeah.
But I started getting ticked off when I think we're very impatient right now. And this is someone who has AD, whatever you call it. I don't know, ADHD, ADD.
Yep. ADD, ADHD. Yep.
Yeah, I have it old school, man. I was a Ritalin kid, so I get it. But when you finish Infinity War and everyone dies, and then immediately they go, but Spider-Man is coming back in 2 years. It's like, well, that defeats the purpose, man. There's no more functionality. There's just like, oh, okay. Like, why do we need the Scarlett Johansson movie when she died? Oh, because this is before. Oh, okay.
Pretty cool. Yeah. Well, there's this huge puzzle, and I agree what you're saying to an extent. Even someone said to me, how are you going to sit there and watch 30, 40, 50 hours of these movies? Like, what do you, and I'm like, if you can sit there on Netflix and watch The Office from beginning to end on Netflix, then you can sit there and you can watch the MCUs in order from beginning to end.
Yeah,
you can.
Dude, I am not shitting on the MCU at all. On the contrary, like I said, I think Infinity Wars is better than Endgame. Like, I loved Infinity War. I was like, there we go. Holy shit. Like, I'm intrigued because, but I mean, just trust me, Feige, Alejandro Montoya. Like, but like, why kill all the new ones? Why kill Black Panther, Spider-Man, all the ones that are having brand new fucking franchises? Like, I'm not a smart man, but I can tell, like, well, they'll come back. You know what I mean? Why not kill Iron Man, Captain America? Everyone contracts were up, and then you're like, oh, that's the way it ends. I don't know.
And you're right. And you're right, because at the very end, they started advertising movies of people that died, and that was the big mistake. And probably that was probably a Disney push, like advertise, and maybe some people should have put their foot down, but it's kind of hard to do that with Disney. But like, no, man, because You're absolutely right. Freaking, who the hell was it? It was Winter Soldier. It was Groot. It was
Yeah,
Black. It was Black.
Lord, Black Panther,
Star-Lord dusted away too.
Yeah,
and Spider-Man. But we know
brand new, coming off of his first film.
Right. But then it's like on IMDb at these Comic-Cons, they're announcing more movies with them in it. And even as a fan, even as a watcher, you know they're going to bring them back somehow, but you just don't know who and how. So at least artistically, creatively, leave it a mystery. Even though every average Joe knows there's going to be a sequel. Every average Joe knows, of course, the good guys are going to come back and win. Everybody knows that, but at least creatively and story wise, leave it a mystery.
The illusion that this could be the end, like
at least the illusion.
Superman wasn't going to die forever, but they fucking didn't touch Superman for a year.
Yeah,
like it's just little stuff like that I'm so like now they're like, oh, Hugh Jackman might come back as Wolverine. I'm like, why? You did the most beautiful send off in Logan, like. We're okay. We don't need another Wolverine movie. Like, we just finished it.
Maybe somebody else playing them, popping up, but we really don't even need that. Just a whole bunch of New Mutants, like the New Mutants. And I actually liked that movie, The New Mutants. It was I actually was entertained by it. It was scary, but it was well done. And maybe it took them 3 more years to unfuck the movie, whatever was wrong with it. But whatever they put out was good, and those can be the New Mutants. Like it's called, they're the New Mutants. It doesn't have to be Wolverine and Storm over and over and over and over and over again. Apparently, rumor has it Rogue's going to be one of the villains in Captain Marvel 2. It's like, why, man? She's been done before. Let's use a New Mutant.
Honestly, I think it's but what do I know, dude? Clearly there's people eating all this up, so I'm not in touch with people now. Like, I just saw the Cruella de Vil / Joker trailer. I'm like, do we need another Cruella de Vil movie? Like, how she became Cruella de Vil? I'm like, the movie's not for me. Okay, cool. But why not create a new character, man?
Is that a prequel origin story, Cruella de Vil?
So it's no one liked her. Everyone picked on her, so she became evil. It's literally all the standards of like becoming a villain. The world doesn't understand me. There's something good that comes out of this, and then you think life's going to be the same, and then that person betrays you, which drives you down the downward spiral, and you paint yourself, and now you're a new identity.
So it's like what they did with Maleficent, where it was focusing on her and why she would want to put Sleeping Beauty to sleep.
Yeah,
or whatever.
It's the same thing. Cool. Shit, it looks good. Like, that's the thing. Everything looks good now. But I don't know about you, but I feel like an absent of attachment to certain projects. Like, I watch it, I'm like, yeah, that looks good, but I emotionally didn't give a shit.
Right.
Like that's just maybe it's the abundance of stuff, and I am looking forward to other things, and sometimes some other things I'm not looking forward to. Like, I really want to see that King Kong Godzilla movie.
Yeah.
Do we need it? No, but are you looking forward to it? Yes, I am.
And listen, man, Godzilla 1 was good. Godzilla was good. Godzilla was good.
That King Kong
movie, Skull Island was dope.
Yeah, that was so much fun.
Yeah.
So much fun.
And then it was Godzilla King of the Monsters was the second one. That was good. Like, I enjoyed them.
It was good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
And then so now it's going to be Godzilla versus King Kong or something like that. Like, let's do it.
Watch it. I'm down.
Because are they doing what universe is this? Is it the Monsterverse? Because everyone's trying to do cinematic universes now, because I know Universal was trying to do the dark universe, which was monsters, and they started with Tom Cruise
again with what we're talking about. Like, does everything need a universe? Does everything need a universe?
So yes and no, because how many different Jokers are we going to get, and why do I give a shit? But if Joaquin Phoenix's Joker ties into the DCEU, then I care.
Yeah.
So it's there was a better example I had, but it was like now Jared Leto's Joker's gone. But if Jared Leto's Joker was actually one of the Robins, which was what the rumor was, and then that ties into the Joaquin Phoenix, then what Jared Leto's Joker has deeper, more powerful meaning, and I care more. But if it's just a different Joker and a different Joker, but they're all just Joker with no tie-ins to the other Jokers, then I don't care. Is because Joaquin Phoenix's Joker is not Heath Ledger's Joker, but Heath Ledger's Joker is not Jared Leto's Joker. And Christian Bale's Batman is not the same as Ben Affleck's Batman, who might be the same as who Robert Pattinson's Batman might be a younger Ben Affleck's Batman. But which Batman do I give a fuck about, and why?
When you care, like.
But see, I care about Iron Man because of what Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man went through for 10 movies.
Exactly.
And that is the art. These actors now have to sign up for 10, 15 years, and they have to behave in a certain way outside. And that's the gig.
I mean, it's worth it for $10 million. I'm sure.
10 million a flick, but also they're creating not only individual movies you can like or dislike, they're creating a series. Yes. And they're creating this whole universe that you might care more about. Because Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man,
fantastic movie.
The MCU's Tony Stark went through some shit from Iron Man 1 to Iron Man 2 to Avengers to 3 to Avengers to all the other to Civil War. And so then you realize, 6 movies down the line, spoiler alert, 7 movies down the line, Winter Soldier is who killed Howard Stark and Tony's mom. And that was such a powerful movie because of what you saw 7 movies ago. But it's like Joker in the Joker is a different Bruce Wayne and a different Thomas Wayne that got shot in the Batman v Superman's flashback. But is that flashback the same? And it's a different actor playing him. Is that flashback the same as from Batman Begins? I'm not caring enough. But if somehow they said, yes, it's the same Batman that Affleck's playing, it's just a different character because Christian Bale just wasn't tied contractually, but it's the same universe, I care more. And that's why this whole universe thing matters. Now, at the same time, people are just jumping on this. Let's do universes. But the girl from Stranger Things that was in the second Godzilla movie, if she's in this movie, and I think Sam Jackson, spoiler alert again, I think Sam Jackson died in Kong Skull Island, but I think, was it Tom Hiddleston that was in it?
Yeah.
But if Tom Hiddleston and
Allison or
what's her name from Stranger?
Captain Marvel.
Oh yeah, Captain Marvel was in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Brie Larson.
That one, yeah.
And then oh, what's her name from Maisie something from Stranger Things, and she was in. If those 3 characters all come together in Godzilla versus King Kong, I care more.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's like this trick with this universe thing. That's the creativity behind it. Is that if Jack Nicholson's Joker died in the night, but then Heath Ledger's, but then if you're a super, like you probably know this, being a super comic buff, that eventually Batman got a mother box and asked it, and the mother box told him, yeah, there's actually 3 different Jokers that you have dealt with your entire life. And so they can play on that in the universe.
But isn't that what Marvel's doing?
But Marvel started and never broke, except for.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's why I'm saying it's like, guys, then don't copy them. Do your own shit. Just don't copy, because no one's going to be able to do the exactly thing that Marvel did. Marvel did it innovatively, very smart, meticulously. They cared about the project. Like, you can tell when someone cares about the project, like Marvel, like Feige cares about Marvel, whereas you see Alex, what's his name from the Star Trek, that he doesn't care about Star Trek. Right. It's like you can tell the difference. There's care and love and patience put into this. That's why I'm saying it's like, I don't think that we should. I mean, you could do whatever you want, but I don't think people should keep copying the Marvel schematic, because it hasn't worked for them.
Yeah, and they chose, and so Feige chose to take some B characters that Marvel still had rights to. Yeah. Iron Man. I never really knew shit about Iron Man before Downey's Iron Man.
Yeah.
Except
The
a
basics.
little, well, the very basics, because Cal Ripken from the Baltimore Orioles, they always called him the Iron Man. And then they started doing references to the comic book superhero with him and how he kept playing in every game. You know, it's probably going to be impossible to beat his game streak record, Cal Ripken's, but they called him the Iron Man. And then when they started throwing, you know, when they started doing like some propaganda, not propaganda, but just, you know, like the marketing for Cal Ripken, they always referred to the comic character, and they started throwing some of that comic stuff in there.
Yeah.
And so years ago, before Iron Man came out, I kind of knew who Iron Man was, but it's like that movie that he chose a B-list character and made a movie and had maybe a sequel planned out, and it was such a hit.
Just the one.
Or just the one. I mean, I think they just banked on the one. And but
then there's Jon Favreau, like the guy puts care and
care.
You know, it's the whole thing. Marvel cares, loves, knows the thematic, has the patience, has the resources. Like they did it perfectly. Perfectly.
And look at Mandalorian. I mean, Jon Favreau's oversight over the Mandalorian. Like the Mandalorian was probably better than some of the sequel trilogy.
Star Wars fan, and I'm also like, well, I mean, do we need this other show? Do we need 7 more shows?
Well, after the Mandalorian, I'm looking forward to, you know, Book of Eli. Not Book of Eli. I'm looking towards the Book of Boba Fett. You know, is that the Mandalorian or Boba Fett or
Mandalorian?
Mandalorian.
I got Boba Fett in the other room.
I mean, listen, I'm looking forward to the Book of Boba.
Yeah. Or
the Book of Boba Fett, whatever they're called. I'm looking forward to it because they did well with the Mandalorian, and that's what Feige and Favreau did well starting the MCU.
Yeah.
And still to this day, even WandaVision, now these Disney Plus series, WandaVision is good so far. It's fantastic. I think I'm all caught up, and it's been an amazing hell of a ride. It's been awesome. No complaints.
Hey, man.
And again, you have like these bickerings, like where does the Netflix Marvel shows fit in? Did they fit in? It's just such a freaking, it's like,
I gotta say, man, I loved Daredevil. Like I really, season 3 is not talked about
enough.
Not talked about as often as it should.
Nothing could top season 2.
I love 3. Like I think 3 is the best one. I loved 1 and 2. Don't get me wrong, but I just really like. I think they did it well. Where it took him 3 fucking episodes to get out of the dirt because he is just so in defeat and failing several times. Like I don't, you know, like if the superhero trains for a montage of 2 minutes and then goes back and kick his ass, well, what's the threat? He hasn't broken. But I thought in 3, especially the character of Bullseye was my favorite.
Yeah,
I fucking loved him and Kingpin
like
more than the heroes were the villains.
Yeah, it got pretty dark in the 3rd season.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the Punisher. I love the Punishers. Jessica Jones was a bit dark. I mean, I appreciated Jessica Jones. They finally fixed Iron Fist with the 2nd season. I mean, the Punishers. Luke Cage. I mean, Luke Cage was definitely a unique.
The world they created in Luke Cage, and I really liked that.
Yeah,
a lot.
Yeah, but I think finally, Luke Cage started getting more badass in the 2nd. Because listen, I mean, we always want to see some badass fight scenes. They're superheroes. They got to be having some badass fight scenes. They always had it with Daredevil. They always had it with Punisher, which Daredevil season 2 was kind of, Punisher 0.5, Definitely. But it's just, again, it's like, okay, the guy that's in charge of Marvel TV is now splitting with Feige on this, that, and the other thing.
Is it Quesada?
I forgot. That might be his name. Whoever it was at the time.
Fantastic work.
Him and Feige did not get along because he was a colleague of Trump's, and there was the whole Trump supporter, anti-Trump dynamic there. And somehow Marvel TV was able to split. Mm-hmm. And it's like, please, God, doesn't Disney own it and make it work? Yeah, because at this point it's got to be John Bernthal Punisher in the MCU. At this point, it's got to be that Daredevil and that Luke Cage and that Kingpin. Like
Mhm.
Vincent D'Onofrio, man,
Fantastic.
chameleon actor,
Fantastic.
chameleon. Like there's nothing he can't do because he was like I think it was the governor of California in the show Ratchet, based on Nurse Ratchet. There was a Netflix show based on the nurse from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And that was a really good series, but he was such a scumbag governor, totally different from Kingpin, and then totally different from CS Law and Order.
Law
Totally,
and Order something.
you know, Law and Order something. Yeah, Criminal
Law and
Intent.
Order
That's what
After
it was.
Hours.
Yeah, right. But I mean, like chameleon, like. But you know, we're teetering on the second half of February. Is it too late to say Happy New Year?
Yes.
Is it?
But I appreciate you and the courtesy of telling me a Happy New Year, and I will say Happy New Year to you too, sir.
Well, when you hear, so for you, what's the new you? What's the new year, new you? The new Alejandro, the new normal, new you. What comes to mind for that?
I've been working out a lot. Like you can't tell on camera, but I lost about 8 pounds. I was going to the gym almost every day and doing cardio and lifting weights. I feel that I have no excuse because I'm freelancing now. So I'm like, if you can't muster and go to the gym for at least an hour every day, then you are a lazy fuck. For me, because I've always been overweight all my life. So that was my one thing. I'm gonna quit smoking cigarettes and I'm going to go work out more.
So during have you been back on set? So you got COVID, but
Yeah.
before you tested positive for COVID, had you been back on set yet?
No, I hadn't shot any. The last thing I shot was in October. We shot a short film in Joshua Tree, and that's being sound designed right now. So then after that, I hadn't been on set where I was going to last week, and then because of this, I'm not going to put my crew and my cast in any danger. I just like, fuck it, lock me in, and I haven't seen anyone. Let's leave it at that, and I'll try to do this remotely.
So the film that you shot in September, October, that was September, October 2020? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes. So during quarantine, during this last year, you have been back on set, out in the field shooting. Yeah. But then for the second film, it had to be completely remote. Yeah.
Remotely. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, with your career and freelancing and the new you, what drives you? What's your driving force? What pushes you?
My love for film. I don't have a plan B. Like I was lucky. I was lucky to know what I wanted to be at a very young age. Mm-hmm. There's more. It's how can I say this? I think it's the fact that I love it so much. I mean, like just right off the bat, I have Kill Bill, Casablanca, The Shining. Like it's just a part of who I am. I've always loved it. From a very, very, very young age, I didn't know you could be a filmmaker. And then even though I was born in Texas, I was raised in Mexico. So, you don't see a lot of Latinos make film in the United States, and now Mexico's starting to grow in the arts because the arts was a very particularly very small in the realm of what the country supports and loves, and it's very small. So I always knew that that if I was lucky that I was born in the States, that I had to be here at one point, and so I always kind of geared my life to, well, I'm one day going to be in the U.S. So don't lose the English, keep learning pop culture from the United States, and do it when you just do it. Yeah. So yeah. That's it.
And going back to Batman 89, when I was a kid, I would go see a movie and then I'd be obsessed with that character. And when I was 5, probably up to 10, I was like, oh, I'm Batman. I'm going to live my life like Batman. I'm going to be Batman. Or Ninja Turtles came out and I was like, I'm going to be a Ninja Turtle. And then it's you can't be a Ninja Turtle. But then as I matured, I realized that kind of mindset is you want to be a filmmaker, you want to be an actor, you want to create that universe and be within that universe somehow creatively.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, like me and buddies, we would watch movies and we would make up these sequels. We would just sit around and be like, oh, if they made a sequel, they should do this. Oh yeah, and they should do that. No. Like, especially, I think, you know, what stands out is Predator 2 with Danny Glover, and they showed the aliens, the xenomorph alien skull, right, in the trophy room. And then everyone's thinking like aliens and predators in the same movie. Yeah, aliens and predators. And of course, what do you know? Like fucking 15 years later, I think. Yeah, it was 15 years later, AVP, Alien versus Predator. And it's just dawned on me it dawned on me at a young age, 13, 14. It's like, well, all this shit that we're talking about and always doing and going around doing Nerf guns, it's like, this is filmmaking without a camera. You just need to become a filmmaker. And that was it for me. But just my imagination, my endless imagination is like, you know, make some money off of it. And then the acting just turned into a way to fill in the schedule, because I had a real world skill set of military and law enforcement, sort of law enforcement, military police in the military. So then there's police and then there's military. Mm-hmm. And so, okay, I have that skill set. Basically, that's my method acting right there. That's my acting school right there. Fill in the schedule. And then like a couple of years, it was just nothing but acting, just playing detectives and cops and firemen and EMTs left and right in all these different, you know, crime shows or whatever. And it was just like building on that and building on that and building on that and just staying within that realm. When you say there's no plan B, I couldn't agree more. With me, the plan B is still within the arena of plan A.
Yeah.
You know, oh, but I know this technical skill of live streaming and you know, remote work. I know all these technical skills of, you know, routing audio cable, video cable, setting up speakers. I'll do all these AV gigs, you know, just to fill in the schedule. But keep plugging away at the acting and the crew work. Oh, you know, they need an AD. Hey guys, you know, I have to drop out on that AV gig that's in a couple of months. Hey, no problem, man. Freelance life, we get it. Go on this other thing. It's the plan B is within the plan A. You kind of have to still do it smart. You know, like, what is it? You know, designing T-shirts and graphic design and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's still within graphic design, which is still within media, I guess, and still within creative arts or
it's
whatever.
Still and stuff that you could utilize to further your career. Absolutely.
Yeah. And branding and promotion. And then what is this T-shirt about? Oh, check out my channel. And then things kind of progress from there. But yeah, I mean, it's just, like you said, man, there's no plan B. It's a bit of a gamble. I butt heads with folks all the time, even like kind of dabbling in stocks. They're like, yeah, you're gambling. I'm like, but dude, you're a full-time artist and a craftsman. Why didn't you get into some trade like mechanics or law enforcement or firefighting? That person took a gamble.
Yeah.
To be a craftsman, a fine art carpenter, some of the other people that I've talked to.
I feel like I've done manual labor like a motherfucker. I did construction. I was a mover in Canada to make some bucks because I was studying film school there. I've worked at telemarketing. I've had a day job, and I've never felt as happy as I'm on set. Like it's and maybe it's because I'm no director, but I've done shit where I'm not directing and I love it. It's you're creating something and you're good. I feel that I realized at a very young age that I was here to entertain people. That's it. Like I'm the court jester, only with a little camera. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I love to make people laugh, and I like to make people feel good and forget the horrors that are in the world. And that's I knew what I wanted to do, and I love doing it. Like it does to me. Staying up, 15-hour days and being tired and broke because you're continuing to invest in the project, to me is Tuesday.
Right. Yeah. And you're kind of like, you're kind of semi old head like me, but have you been watching Cobra Kai?
Of course, yeah, great show.
Yeah. So, what stood out to me it really spoke to me, I should say. And I'm gonna try to find the episode. I just watched it. I'm catching up right now, but trying to go to IMDb and look up the quote properly if they do have the quotes. Let's see more. Here we go. Oh, of course, they don't have this specific quote. So Danny was quoting Mr. Miyagi, like he was talking about how like Mr. Miyagi he didn't want to sell the dealership. Mr. Miyagi gave him his first car. And he said, you should be in sales. He said something like, a man who lives for his passion makes more money than a man who lives for money.
Yeah.
A man who works for his passion will make more money than a man who works for money.
It's a constant battle because, as you know, well, I don't know about you, but like being a filmmaker, you quit almost every month. You quit every week. You're like, fuck it, I'm done. Oh, you see, it's
how many times have we rescheduled this podcast because every step forward, 2 steps back. I think you and I had to reschedule. I know for a fact I had to reschedule at least once. It snowed. We had to reschedule 3 times. At
least 3 times.
Because it snowed and the daycare's closed. So it's Mr. Mom Daddy Daycare, and I can't do a podcast with him. If he starts losing it,
Yeah.
And she's a teacher, so she's teaching virtually. So fucking school ain't canceled. There's no snow days right now for virtual learning. God, there was something else. Oh, and then probably a bunch of COVID stuff and family and family stuff.
Yeah.
And like, listen, I thought this was going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. When quarantine first happened, I'm going to start this podcast. Yeah. And I've never been busier in my life, because then the people that I was doing live streaming with before saw me doing the podcast. And they're like, oh, we're doing all remote live streaming events now.
Yeah.
Big money, way better rates. And we're going to send you the gear. And I'm like, oh shit. Yeah, hell yeah, man. I mean, because I was this close to applying for unemployment and I had to do a week of unemployment here and there. Hell yeah. So I started taking paid gigs, and then it's like, holy shit. There were some podcasts I had a bump for like these big paid virtual remote gigs. And then there's like snow days where the daycare is closed. I've got them,
Yeah.
But like you were saying, it's like you quit. You almost quit every day.
Many times, yeah.
Well, shit, you might even quit every day, and then you go and get your job back the next day because you're working for yourself. It's all about the passion. But I think it's a century-old, 1,000-year-old saying: if you love your work, you don't work a day in your life.
Yeah.
And of course, you gotta pay the mortgage. You gotta pay the power bill, you got to buy groceries. So that certain number has to be met. But the second that number is met, it's like, hey, let's love what we do at that point,
Yeah.
Something like that.
I agree.
If there was one last bit of advice to put out there, what would that be?
We'll take no for an answer.
Okay. That's a first for me. Don't take no for an answer.
Yeah, it's great when people don't. I don't know, if you love it and it's. I'm not saying anything new. But I'm saying something true. It's something that I feel. From get go, I've had people laugh at me. I've had people, yeah, whatever, you'll do it, and then it's very like something so simple that like this little comic book to me. I was in 6th grade. And I was in Texas right before we moved to Mexico, and we had a science project. And the science project, I asked the teacher, can I do something different instead of doing the stupid volcano and rub your hand and then put it on the thing so you can look at a microscope? It's like, it's the same shit. So I told them, can I do an analyzation of comic books? And are all comic books the same? They follow the same trajectory? Do they? And that was my my science project was just a deep dive on 5 different characters and how every character from different ethnicity to different background to different sex, how their line stories just go completely the opposite, where Superman is, storyline is not the same as Wonder Woman, which is not the same as Daredevil, Batman, So comic books have been a big part of my life. So I think if you are patient and you really want something, you will do it if you really want to. And it's hard, man. It's hard. I mean, especially now when you see YouTubers get super successful and millionaires because they prank people. Like there's no set of skills besides, you know what I'm saying? Like it's cool. That's your route.
I'm guilty. Me and some colleagues tried that prank channel shit before, and I'm guilty of it. And some of it was funny, but it didn't take off for us.
I tried vlogging for 1 day or 2, and I feel like a fucking ass. Who gives a shit of what I'm doing all day? I should do like a fake vlogger where I was like, hey man, just here making a sandwich.
Right.
Like, who cares about what they do? No one.
Who gives a shit? Well, I mean, some people do, but sometimes like that vlog, I think some of those kids were lucky because they were already rich and they were already just having like an extraordinary surrounding. And
there's like 20-year-olds that have done shit that I've never even done yet. Because I'm like, hey, I can't go to Italy just on a whim.
Right. But some of them can, and so they're vlogging, they're doing TikToks. Back then it was Vines. They were doing quick Vines that they had all day to do it because they get home from, it's not like they had a part-time job after high school like I did.
They could just do whatever they want.
Yeah. And I think those, and again, I think those people just landed at that point in their time in 2010, 2012, 2014, where it was like, this is the perfect time with the perfect technology, with the perfect devices, with the perfect platforms like YouTube and Google and Vine and TikTok to do that. Whereas for me, man, like I got to go out and buy a camera that takes the mini VHS, and then I got to upgrade to a mini DV camera. Then I got to go out and buy shit. And now it's like,
yeah, dude, I edited my first short film with a VHS and a tape player. It was so weird.
And then back then you have colleagues, like there was guys, we were trying to jump. Back then we had a couple of VHS cameras, and we were trying to jump on the skate tape thing.
Oh yeah.
And so like, I got like 4 VHS tapes and I'm rolling, and they're like, no, dude, you stop and record. I'm like, no, you don't, man. You just, you keep the camera rolling. And the next guy goes to do the trick. I'm like, we don't have enough VHS tapes. I'm like, dude, you're not thinking right, man. Then we need to go buy more VHS tapes. We can't afford that. Well, we need to make it. We need to start. Then we need to make ourselves afford it by some side hustles, get together some extra scratch, and get these tapes, because that's not how this thing's done. It's all raw footage. You're not going to edit in the camera. It's all raw footage. You edit afterward. And then you put your skate tape together, and it was just bickering then. And it's like finding the right folks. And now it's like every Joe Schmo with an iPhone can shoot something, endless raw footage, and edit on the smartphone.
Oh yeah, I've edited shit on my phone.
I have too.
Yeah.
And it's
great, man. It's great. It's easier. There's no excuses now. It makes, it makes everything easier. But I mean, take some time and do care, because just like me, there's a billion more people, and there's a billion short films and movies, and it's like, take your time, man. If you're gonna put it on the world, take your time. I don't know. I don't have anything against YouTubers. Like I love Red Letter Media, Ralph the Movie Maker. There's a bunch of YouTube channels that I love, and I watch every day or whenever they have new videos. So it's definitely an art form in itself.
Listen,
I'm not into that. I'm not good at it.
Exactly. Speaking of YouTubers, I mean, there's a channel called What Culture that I watch. They got What Culture Comics, What Culture Wrestling, which I pay a lot of attention to. What Culture Wrestling, What Culture Comics. They do other sub channels too. Mm-hmm. But they kept at that grind so much. They started their own wrestling league. What Culture Professional Wrestling. WCPW.
Yeah.
And they had their own wrestling for like 2 years. And then I think they got bought out by AEW or something. And so all their wrestlers are now on AEW, and they still got this channel, and it's so well produced, such high quality production shit. But they just started YouTubing because they liked certain subcultures like pro wrestling and comics.
Yeah.
They ended up starting their own pro wrestling brand or their own pro wrestling circuit in England somewhere.
Yeah.
Because they just kept doing it, and then they just kept interviewing wrestlers. They kept making fun of WWE, and they were like, "Oh, I think somebody at WWE said, if you got it all figured out, then start your own wrestling thing." And they go, "Okay," and they did. And so, you know, it's just, you never know where something's going to go. And so, as far as like this podcast goes, as far as my podcast went, you know, in March, I was like, nothing else is going on, spamming the shit out of people on LinkedIn. Or, you know,
that's how you have to, like, hey man, check, like, I try to support projects, new channels. I try to watch as much as possible. I mean, there's only enough time periods in the day, but I try to watch as much possible.
Well, speaking of which, any plugs, links, socials you want to put out there, all your stuff?
Yeah, just Alejandro Montoya Marín. I'm on Instagram. I think that Push Start Films, which is my production company, we're both on Instagram. Push Start Films, all one word. Alejandro Montoya Marín, at one word. And I pretty much I post there frequently, and that's where I use to promote my projects and upcoming stuff.
And the graphic novel.
And the graphic novel.
Sequel to Monday.
The sequel to Monday, parentheses Tuesday.
It's on Amazon. I love that title, man. That's brilliant.
Thank you, dude.
Alejandro Montoya Marín.
Yes, sir.
Now I'll get rid of the gringo pronunciation. I'll make it. I'll pronounce it right.
Yeah. No. Hey. It's not your language. Why would I be offended? It's like, hey guys, just chill.
I'll try to be as close as possible. But Alejandro, I can't thank you enough for coming on. Learned a lot. It was a blast. It was a good hour plus. You know, that's a nice meaty chunk there, man. Congrats on the yeah, man. Congrats on the remote directing, on the remote film, semi-remote film. That's awesome. Again, it's just showing the due diligence and the perseverance to still make shit happen, regardless. And congrats on recovering from COVID. That's another one. Alejandro, can't thank you enough, man. It was a blast. To my viewers, I hope I've earned the privilege of your time and viewership. I know Alejandro has. And until next time, you know what to do.